Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of the HaloEra special episode podcast. Well, HaloEra podcast special episode, the Spoilercast episodes, or episode of episode.
I make John write all this down for
last week I did write it, and it went so well that this week I got kind of cocky. Either way, episode 5, Aleria of Halo the Series Season 2, right after the big bombastic Battle of Reach. We're on here, we're at the next step in, and before we get started into our thoughts, let's quickly reintroduce who's with us today. Joining me is not my usual co-host. Nick had to take a break today, though he did leave me his thoughts in written form, so I will get to those when they become relevant.
So fancy, he knows how to write.
Yeah, I know, right? We'll type. I think we all
I can read, I can write. Wah.
First thing first, of course, we have John, the co-host of the main Xbox Era podcast. How's it going?
Very well. As discussed before we went live, I am wearing pants.
Yeah, stand up, show everyone. Take a twirl.
No.
The English version of pants.
It's midnight here. It's fine. I am wearing pants. It's fine. Let's keep it moving.
Okay.
It's
also joining us is the other co-host of the main Xbox Era podcast, Jesse. How's it going?
I'm doing well. We are also co-hosts of the new Xbox Era headlines.
You're right. That's what I should
have
have said
too.
Yeah.
I mean, most people, and actually tomorrow it will just be Xbox Era headlines 3.
Essentially, right?
There's no Nick. Yeah.
Oh, what? Nick's not on tomorrow?
Yeah, he's got a christening. So it's just myself and John. Thankfully, a whole bunch of news popped off today, so it'll be its own show.
There'll be plenty to talk about.
Yeah, and we will be playing one person name a game.
The ultimate gauntlet challenge. Yeah.
He has to get 6 out of 10. If he gets 6, one person wins. If he doesn't get 6, the other person wins.
Oh, the house always wins, so let's see how this goes. And of course, last but not least, we have Amanda joining us once again. How's it going?
Great. Long day, and then was stuck in traffic for an hour and a half. So basically, running home to eat and scrambling and then getting home here.
Yeah, major city traffic is never fun.
Traffic is the worst thing to ever exist. Well, maybe not the worst thing, but it's pretty bad. Okay, this time around, we're going to jump right in. I did also kind of organize it based off of the characters and where they were, but if you guys want, we can go a little more loose. Pick a story thread.
So about that ending.
Right. Well, the ending was honestly maybe the least interesting part of the whole thing, in my opinion. But for now, I'll start off.
I'll say this. I think there's always a reason why they give them in batches. I got the first 4 episodes to review, and then I got the next 2.
That makes sense.
So it just feels like when it's a beginning and it's a little arc, that's how they kind of come together.
I'm curious if they'll give you the next 2 again. Are they going to give you the conclusion?
Yeah, they're
season?
Normally. I doubt we get the conclusion early. It would be really cool if we do. And I'll do lots of 0 hints or winks or anything, but, we'll see. Okay,
right off the bat, this episode picks off immediately after episode 4. We're from Chief's perspective. Now let me switch it over to the screenshot so you guys can see my very sepia-heavy, which worked, by the way. We were not dinged at all for the video.
Thankfully, Paramount is nicer about it. I think it took 3 weeks, but episode 1 to 4 review finally got the okay from them, even though it was just all their own footage. So
it's so stupid. Anyways, we start out right off from the thing. Chief's hurt. Vanek is dead. They're still being attacked by waves of Covenant enemies. And then Soren, I actually didn't catch his exact line, but he was like, "Oh, we got it. We're done." He said something like that.
Oh, is that all you got? I think.
Of course.
Yeah.
The perfect line to say. And then we get our first look at a brute in season 2, which we haven't seen yet. And it's decidedly different, I want to say, from the season 1 designs we saw.
Jesse tried to do the quiz me. He was like, "Oh, look at that. What is that?" I'm like, "Shut up."
What? Was he expecting Jara Honey?
You don't know. It was, hey, look. It was more like, okay, this is cool.
It's a very reminiscent of the Halo 3 power armor brutes to me. The helmet is slightly flatter, but because normally they're a bit more vertical. But otherwise, I mean it's a brute who seemingly was very invulnerable to bullets.
Well, I mean, hey, you gotta.
He was holding his arm
thousands
up.
of bullets. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, until the caliber got big enough. Anyways, the brute shows up, has the hammer, smashes it. Chief goes flying. A ship shows up in the distance. It's also kind of funny. Halsey's just like in the little corner, just like staring straight ahead. I don't think I got a picture of that, but oh man, I wish I did. Either way, a ship shows up, takes the brute out with like really high caliber guns, and driving the ship is of course Laera, who we knew was on their way. Well, we didn't know, but we kind of assumed was on their way to reach her and Quan. They bring the chief back into the ship. Quan Ha was holding a gun, and the moment I saw this scene, I could like the universe was speaking to me. I could hear the sounds of hundreds of Halo fanboys screaming in agony. How dare Quan Ha save someone with a oh no. I wish I was joking. It's only half a joke. Anyways,
I mean, just look at the face that guy made.
Is there people saying it?
Oh, I don't mind if they're rewriting Quan Ha to be some sort of Rambo style character.
That's my first thought. Not gonna lie, especially with the clothing.
That's fine.
It's very much yes. She was just a little whiny kid. She was supposed to be this protector of Madrigal, part of this whole family lineage that's been there this whole time, protecting this monitor on the planet. Mm-hmm. And oh shit, we really just wrote her to be utterly unlikable in every way.
What was that?
So we're just gonna 6 months. She's been living in hell. Finally, she's like, okay, I gotta grow up and be a Ha, which is funny because the actress's actual last name is also Ha.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah, Yaren Ha.
Last of
Anyways, they bring Chief back in. Riz goes back out, dual wields, boom, Halo 2 reference, which we did see in the trailer, which I actually kind of forgot that we saw that in the trailer. We didn't see that in the last episode. To bring back Vanek, I feel like every single one of us, at least the ones who've read Fall of Reach, were like, oh, they're pulling a Linda, right? The Vanek here. They're going to grab the body, they're going to shove him in cryo, and they'll bring him back, just like they did with Linda at the end of Fall of Reach. Spoiler alert, that does not happen. Vanek is very much dead.
His heart got blown up.
Yeah. Give me a did, John.
Wow.
Standard, mate. Standard at this point. I didn't think that. Like,
really?
I'll like. I'm not going to be as negative as I was last time.
Just go for it. Don't worry about it.
It was it just felt so. It just all of it stems back to the problem that I think the Halo TV show has, regardless of your personal thoughts or anyone watching of whether they should have done more like the books or more like the games or whatever method you would have preferred. The biggest problem that I still have with the show is that I have no real connection with the characters. I said last week, oh no, Vanek's dead. Okay, oh no, Keys is dead. Fine. But Riz then like this emotional leap to go and get the body. I'm like, yeah, like
she
honestly,
cares, unlike you.
I know, but
I mean, like you
it's
say
not
that
sold to me through the screen.
But
that's all.
The character's arc. This does fit the arc, though, right? Of her like opening up to family and emotions, and like refusing to let it go. You know what I mean? In that sense, I feel like it worked.
The intent to give me something to care about as a viewer is there. That's not denied, but it does not connect for me.
Okay.
And that is a problem that seems to be prevalent and through many of the plot lines of this episode. Regardless, I still didn't hate this episode, so I just want to make that clear.
Okay. Anyways, she goes to grab Vanek. On her way back, she gets shot in the back, probably by plasma, which is already... Anyone who's read the books knows plasma is way more dangerous in the Halo media than it is in the Halo games. Like, that thing will rip you to shreds, as we've seen. She makes it through, and then they had this really, really cool shot. I want to say of just it's like a 2-3 frames of Chief on his side looking at Reach, then the glassing is starting.
Yeah.
And like this one shot tells you so much. It tells you, boom, the orbital defense failed, right? They took down the power generators, the Mac guns failed, Reach is getting destroyed. Like instantly, you know that. Like a part of me thought Reach was still going to continue in the later episodes with like people coming back, maybe Ackerson with the Spartans, blah blah blah. This shot instantly says, nah. Reach is done.
Quan Na.
There's no hope.
Yeah. There's a pretty cool shot after this too with an orbital thing. But I have to say, a lot of the visuals in this show are really good, especially the wider shots. I wanna say.
Yeah, I think in some ways it's a shame. Like I think all all of the fans, the hardcore Halo fans, were obviously hoping for something that was a little bit more epic and less close quarters, I suppose. Less personal stakes, more galaxy stakes, right? But you have to realize this is a Paramount Plus TV show. The budget probably doesn't stretch to galaxy-wide stakes just
is
yet.
More coming, as we have seen in the trailers with Chief in Space and the next episode taking place where it does. I feel like Reach is being stretched. It's not done.
Okay.
The fight that leads to Halo essentially is what Reach was. And then the fight to get, towards that storyline, I think is just being stretched in new directions based on their story that they're telling.
It's not even over. Just budget for me. It's the art design. I feel like, which is more of a creative thing than money thing. It's that part of the team behind the show. I feel like no one can argue isn't doing a banger job. The way the glassing works, the lasers, the way the buildings are in Reach, the shots from the orbital space, that kind of stuff. In that aspect, I feel like it's worth watching if you're a Halo fan, period. Just ignore this. Ignore the story if you really don't like it that much. Muted.
Wow.
Be honest with me, right? I do notice straight away, so often you don't have to call it out. Be honest with me. If Halo: The Fall of Reach had started in, like you'd had, let's say, 3 concurrent plot threads where you've got the space fleet who are grouping, and then the Covenant get detected in space, and they all arrive in system, and the ground troops are all like, okay, we've got to protect the thingy. So you see the chief gear up and all of the team, and they're all doing this epic last stand defense, and then they just get overrun, and it's insane, and they have to fall back, and blah 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 blah. And then you flip back to space, and you're seeing the orbital cannons getting taken out. And
I'd prefer that for sure.
Not? Okay, I'm just
100%. Oh, 100%.
No one's insane.
No, don't. 100%.
I'm done. I'm done with the dream. I'm done with the dream. Course. I'm okay.
I just have to see where is it going. Exactly. It is that thing where I'm talking about in the review where it's like I'm trying to judge a train's destination when they're still in the process of building the tracks. We don't know what the next 3 episodes are going to be. I mean, I might know.
One of the issues with that, John, is I feel like if they were going to end the season off in Reach, that would have been perfect, right? Like have Reach be the big final climatic battle. But I feel like they want to kind of plant more seeds for future stuff, maybe Flood stuff, which is never mentioned at all in the books before Halo, right? Like the game, or any Foreigner stuff in general is barely talked about. I feel like they kind of want to plant that stuff a little bit more. I think in a way
they're speed running, right? And we'll get into it as we go more into the episode. They are speed running to B thread gone. B thread.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Right, now we got these 2 threads. That's all we want. And all these main characters, they're out. And these are the main characters now. And now we're going to speed run to actually get you on the Halo ring. Because if they did a Reach as the finale, which is my assumption would have been Reach as the finale, last shot, Pillar of Autumn arriving at Halo, bum, bum, bum. That would have been a really cool, okay, yeah, I'll watch season 3. But instead, they are like, no, we're going to get to Halo probably on the last episode, but we're actually going to be on Halo, I think, by the last episode.
That'd be interesting.
And I think that there lies another problem. This is an 8-episode season.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep, 8 episodes, 4 episodes left.
I would have hoped for 10, and 10 episodes would have allowed for more character building to allow me to care about. Do you know what I mean? Like, so the whole thing is suffering a little bit from a speed run.
It is nice that this episode had like a 20 or like a 15-minute runtime increase than the previous one.
Yes.
That was good. That was good to see.
To allow for character building.
Yes, exactly. No, I fully get what you mean. Amanda, do you want to say anything before I move on to the next?
Nope.
Okay. Sorry, we talk a lot, which is why I always
really
trying to get everyone before.
It's okay. I feel you.
It always comes down to what do you want versus how do shows work, and it's kind of like the video game thing. Like, I would do this, and then someone who actually does them is like, well, that just doesn't work for all of these reasons. And this show already has like over $200 million budget or something ridiculous. Like, it's incredibly expensive to do all of this. So if you make it longer, then things end up having to be more like last season, where you've just got one room that you end up having a lot of scenes in, because you built this room and you can't build like 15 other ones for the episode. So then it ends up feeling almost procedurally, and they are going for different than procedurally, where you really don't see the same sets that often. Like,
Yeah,
it's,
no,
and that's
100%.
very expensive. It gives you this feeling of movement and this feeling of not being an episodic procedural TV show. And it is like this, it's a stretched out movie essentially in that sense, which is the HBO thing, where they might have shows where it just makes sense. You're going to use the scene in this giant hall for Game of Thrones 15 times in a season because it's where a lot of shit goes down. But there's also just so much other stuff, and it always feels different.
Even Game of
network
Thrones
TV.
suffered from not having enough budget. Like, there's even with unlimited budget, essentially, they had to make a choice between
that was
dragons
the
or
thing
wolves.
with HBO. Like, Game of Thrones was the one that broke through, but even like The Sopranos was big. But like The Wire, everyone's the favorite show ever. Like, no one watched it. They didn't make any money on it, and that was always the hard thing. It's like, oh, there's this prestige TV that so many people watch, and they win so many awards. And it's like, well, no, actually, it's not that many people watch, but yes, they win awards. But now you just see it's kind of crashed and cratered with the shitty leadership they have now, where like
That's the
we
crazy
are very
part.
lucky.
Yeah.
We're just very lucky with Halo that old people like it so much
Yes,
because it's enormous for Paramount. Like, it is freaking huge for them. And you bring that up and people online are like, no, it's not. You're just a simp. You're lying. You're making it up. It's like, no, it is an enormous show for Paramount Plus. Old people like it, and enough young people like it, which is not the norm for Paramount Plus. They trend 55 up. Like, they're the old person streaming place because they've got all their look at old America shit from Taylor Sheridan that people gobble up. Like,
Like, Didact is right. The Expanse is an amazing sci-fi show, one of the best I've ever seen, even though I've only seen 2 seasons. Not enough people watched it.
Didact.
Yeah, right. Didact.
By the way, review.
Looking forward to
It's
it.
out. There's a book review written, and there's a video on the YouTubes. If you liked Halo 4, if you liked Halo 5, if you liked Halo Infinite, if you liked the Forerunner trilogy books, but you felt let down by the connective tissue between all those stories, especially Halo 5's story overall, this is the connective tissue for all of that shit, and it is fantastic.
Interesting.
Kelly Gay rules.
Okay. All right, moving on really quick. Paragonovsky, we have a flashback with Chief kind of remembering a little bit of the stuff when Cortana was extracted. And the main gist of it is we got here is that Cortana is being blackmailed by Oni, is what I got out of this. Which would explain why she's working with Ackerson.
Yeah, I thought it was a flash forward at the beginning of the show, but it was actually it was a flashback to when they took her out, and now we get to
you were
see
totally convincing us it was a flash forward. Yeah, I remember now.
the line. I've seen your death, but the death was them thinking he's dead on Reach. They got me.
Oh, you're right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Though we got to talk about that person soon, because that. Well, anyways,
Not really a person.
All right, I'll speaking through this a little bit. So you know what? Let's just go through Makee and the Arbiter as a whole right now.
Biz Maki. Great to see him in the show.
Yeah.
Never
First,
mind.
a
It was
really-
a bad joke.
I was gonna say I did not get that joke at all.
Wow. Biz Maki.
A great orbit shot of Reach getting glass to all hell. Like, goddamn, guys, like, relax. And then we get the first real conversations we've been getting between Makee and this Arbiter, who I think at this point is. No, she later on in another scene she reveals to Cortana that this is the Arbiter, blah blah blah. But the gist of it I got was from that both of these guys are basically in like the doghouse, you could say, which we know. People that play the games know the Arbiter in general is in existence, who is in the doghouse, who's basically meant to die, religious warrior.
He is their Suicide Squad.
Exactly, yeah. But religious and not just I'm gonna blow your head up if you don't. I can summarize the whole scene between these guys, but what did you guys think overall between these two characters?
Come on, John. Were you happy to finally see a Maki perspective?
Okay, so I'm just trying to lay this out. Makee takes Cortana, and the reason was she wanted to get information
On Halo.
right on Halo, but like at the same time, she stopped the Arbiter from killing Jon, and the Arbiter is like, "You've robbed me of that." And then they're having this argument. Cortana's like, "I'm not giving you anything," but then Cortana sees effectively during this second scene with them, where they're arriving at High Charity because the fleet's been recalled by the Covenant hierarchs, and she's like pleading with the Arbiter, "If we go back, they're going to kill us. Like, that's it, we're done." And then Cortana uses her tech to project an image of a landscape on the Halo ring, right?
That Jon had seen in his visions.
That Jon had seen in the visions. The Arbiter was swayed by this and effectively in that short scene betrays the Covenant and goes off with Makee.
Do you see the seeds there a little bit? I didn't catch the seeds, so I read them later. But there's some seeds right there to a character that we know in Halo 2 that I feel like they could potentially move this towards. I don't think they are, but it'd be interesting if they did.
Well, the original Arbiter was the general in charge of the destruction of the Pillar of Autumn and the protection of the Halo ring, and failed, and the Halo ring got blown up, and he was made the Arbiter. Yeah. But the writers of this show have been clear to say that this isn't our Arbiter. But then what does that mean in a world where nothing is anything like the games or the books outside of like flavors, you know?
Well, to be fair, I mean, you have Halsey, you have Chief, you have Ackerson, you have characters that are in the books and the games still be themselves in that sense, you know? So I feel like if they were going to have the
Arbiter, nice to know it's nice to know what's to not know what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
So, I mean, from a TV show perspective, I was like, okay, cool. That gives me they don't want to die. So, yeah, okay, they'll go off and be a threat towards the current humans that are also going to presumably head to Halo at some point.
But it ends up doing the I feel like it's going to do the Doom thing, where you're going to have faction. We have humans, Covenant and Makee, very small. Covenant without Maki, very big. Flood.
Yeah, I feel like obviously that sets up an inevitable Covenant and Makee team up. You know, like they'll have the conversation about the flood, and they'll realize, oh no, it's going to kill all of us. And the big Covenant are crazy.
She's the side her and the Arbiter are the side to be like, yeah, the prophets are full of shit.
Yeah,
they're the heretics. Yeah, like she's like, yeah, no, they're completely full of shit. They're not doing some great journey. Like I've seen this shit. It's not what you think. And he's like, okay, well, you were able to show me this. I guess they are just gonna kill me if I go back. Why not try? So
yeah, it's fine. You know, like I don't have enough.
I mean, if they spin this towards him being the heretic we know from Halo 2, that the Arbiter goes into mission 2 and kills and eventually learns from the Monitor, that'd be pretty interesting. I don't think they are, because this character is definitely dead by the end of the season. Like I'm like 95% certain Chief stabbing this guy in the chest.
There's got to be a face-off in there. It's got to be a little satisfactory face-off.
100%. Like the guy killed Vanek.
He killed our boy.
He killed Vanek. Come on.
And I will say, like, just take this as a start for a plot thread. And so for me, at these points with this, whenever I'm doing a review, it's like, okay, I'm interested in where this goes. Obviously, it has to go somewhere good for the next episode to be good and for that to have paid off. But it is always that thing. It's like it's very easy to, but also doesn't help to judge things before you get to see how they play out. It can be like, oh, I don't like this premise at all. But if you're mildly intrigued in a premise, it can eventually go in a place you freaking love, or it can just peter out. And so that's the...
We had a member for a month, I forgot to say earlier, Alvin, thank you very much. Upon seeing the Halo projection, the Arbiter was blinded by its majesty, dumbstruck. And he definitely was. I didn't even catch that reference, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, they've been doing a lot of those. There are definite fans of the games. There are fans of the overall lore. I mean, 343 loves their evil Oni and all that type of stuff. And you feel that in moments of the show. Like they're not just going to go one-to-one with this, but like all the guns just are straight out of the game now. The Warthog, all the vehicles, the
plasma exploding with the frag grenades, small things like that. Yeah, John, what?
Anyone really annoyed that the BRs are just firing full auto?
No, that's lore
accurate.
Takers. That's lore accurate.
That's lore accurate.
That's lore accurate. They have a little switch.
If it's lore accurate, you give the nod to the fans and you give us a satisfying. Just, it's not hard. It's not hard.
There were times where it was the tune. And then times where it's
pulse in the trigger, mate. Come on.
You would have the opposite problem. You'd have military heads coming, being like, "Why the hell are they firing 3-burst rounds? Why are they going full automatic? What is going on here?"
Accuracy. No, noob tube. Green plasma. And then
but really quick to address something in chat, K.O. Walker. Why is he the Arbiter? a character being the Arbiter in a Halo show tells us a lot instantly. And by us, I mean people that know of the character. It means this character used to be someone in the Covenant. It means this character was disgraced, sorry. And in fact, the dialogue between Maki and the Arbiter we have here, let me see. The demon's
also,
death
Halo
is to be my
looks
redemption.
really good.
Yeah, it does.
Halo looks really fucking good. That background they made.
You know, okay, what's interesting is during this, I watched on a TV with the Xbox app for Paramount, and that app flipping sucks. And the subtitles work half the goddamn time. So during all the conversations between Maki and Thing, the subtitles were delayed like 20 seconds. So I had to adjust. So I rewrote everything. But one thing I like between these two is it shows that Maki's not the one in charge, really. Right? In the first season, Maki was essentially leading the Covenant forces. Period. Working directly for the Prophet's hand, or whatever the hell it was, Blessed One. In this one, she's with the Arbiter. Arbiter says, I remind you that you live only by my grace. Right? Things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he can pretty much just kill her the moment he feels that she deserves it. Exactly. And John's like, I wish he would. Just do it.
Rooting for the Arbiter right now. Totally rooting for him.
I'm not gonna lie, in this little bit, they did show more of his character than I expected to see this season. They show his face close up multiple times. He's got like one eye that's like clearly not functioning. You can kind of hear emotion in his voice sometimes. You know what I mean? Like I didn't expect that.
Yeah, it's a tricky one because that's a CG character that they have to render and animate and voice. But you know, it's a different take on these characters and these elements of the Halo universe than we're used to, but it does set up a 3-tiered, I suppose, or at least 2-tiered story structure now, that has us being able to flip from scene to scene in future episodes. So it'd be interesting to see where it goes.
One thing I've noticed is they've talked about how the Cortana face change was a choice of Cortana, the character. And she is now just an actual, like, they rendered her based on a model. Okay. Who's credited and everything. And I think it's literally because she hates Halsey. That's just the way I took it. It's like, oh yeah, I don't want to look like, I don't want to be the clone of Halsey face anymore. That makes sense. The games always was supposed to be. Because Jen Taylor is always the voice. She's credited and everything. But the Christina Bennington is now credited as the Cortana. This episode, there is a voice actor for... They credit the Victor Ackerblom is the Arbiter's voice actor. Okay. We're
doing a pretty good job, especially speaking a different friggin' language. Which right away I could tell Cortana was speaking with an accent. I don't know why I could, but I could tell. Like the one line of Sangheili she spoke, it sounded like someone speaking with like a very Klingon. Foreign accent. You know what I mean?
It was Klingon. Borku Chak. Like, yeah.
Attack.
Okay, we'll get to it in a bit, but I do think they're building up the seeds again for Chief and Cortana, little by little, especially in this episode. Right? They asked Cortana, "What did you think of the Chief?" Chief mentions empty space in his head.
Okay, so before the season started, Pablo Schreiber literally said a line about this season. Okay, it's about Chief finding his way back to Cortana.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, he said that line in an interview. I was like, oh, that's a lot to give away, Pablo.
That's funny. But yeah, either way, the scene between Maki and Arbiter, I think assuaged my concerns a little bit. I showed she's not in charge of the Covenant. I still don't know why she's friggin' alive. Maybe they'll explain that. Maybe they won't.
They will, because they literally mentioned that she got that Kai. Kai's like, I killed her.
They have to.
They're gonna mention it. When they brought it back up themselves, like, they'll have to explain this. Yeah, Covenant space magic.
I do think she's.
Yeah, they can't just like glaze over that.
Yeah, right. Like.
It's like, okay.
Especially when they brought it up.
Like, to be fair, like if she's alive, yes, I would understand the Covenant not instantly killing her, still making use of her. I get that for sure. But anyways, let's moving on to the.
Well, don't they need them for the artifacts?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing. They essentially killed her at the end of the last season. Which is why I was a little confused. Like they gave up on her themselves too. They're like, we don't need her anymore. Let's end this, right?
But then humans got the artifacts back. And
that's true.
So
yeah, fair enough.
And now they've only gotten one.
Okay. Next things next. Let's talk about Soren and
John, you
Laera.
muted your cough.
Soren and Laera's story arc in this episode, which is kind of short, but was also in a way the heart of it. Not the heart, but at least like a big chunk of it. But essentially, they're in this planet Aleria because this was a planet Kessler, their son's transport, was heading towards. They get there. They go to a really shady shopkeeper.
You can tell he's shady because he's Irish. Ugh.
Oh yeah,
just kidding, Irish.
Did Kessler do the Kessler run?
In under 5 parsecs.
But parsecs is a
Lil Kessler run.
Didn't they try to? They tried to make that make sense in Solo. I never watched Solo, but
it's not a good movie. You're not missing out.
Yeah, that's why I never watched it. Oh, you're looking for your little boy? Oh, I love selling children. Oh shit, your actual parents. Oh, I'm gonna poop me pants.
Essentially, though he does mention that children are in high demand. Initially, I thought that was in more of like a disturbing way. But then it turns out later less so. But still, just as much you could argue. But either way, through this person, they find that there was a 10-year-old boy who was taken by a family. They go towards that family. And then it turns out that the really bad-looking wig Laera was wearing was a wig. Hey!
Yep. She has a lot of hair under that wig, too. Yeah. Like, what? That must have been a tight-ass bun. But no, she pulls it off, and it's just hair. Like, what the? It's down to, like, your friggin' shoulders, and you have this little bob. How did you pull that off? Space wig.
Symbolically giving up on being, the queen of the colony and and having all the nice stuff. This is now
of all the evil, mean pirates from West Side Story.
This is about being a mother.
I liked her line with
wrapping
Soren.
A baseball bat with barbed wire.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was interesting.
It's about family.
Was it Nelly? Nelson? Either way. I liked her line with Soren where she's like, I want you to be with me. Like my fear where I am right now, I need you to be here too. Like they showed the dynamic between the two pretty well, I want to say.
Yeah, like stop your bullshit and let's focus for a minute.
Yeah. Though to be fair,
stop playing the salesman.
Exactly. Give me a sec. Anyways, they meet a family that has the child that they're looking for. Soren is like super menacing. Like holy crap! I thought he was gonna just kill these guys completely, and then he switched instantly towards I understand how you feel. We don't gotta do this. I'm the father. Blah blah blah. How do you guys feel about that scene in general?
I thought it was weird.
It started out weird. He was too salesman-y early on, and hey, when it shifted, it was good, but it was a very hard shift.
The whole pre-scene where they not. Oh, go on, Amanda.
No, I was like, this is weird. I felt like this is a weird. What's going on? You would think that he would just be a little more aggressive, and then I don't know. It was very. I guess they're like, how are we going to do this? We didn't really talk about this, or
we can't have this tall man beat up these women and take their kid.
Yeah. I thought when they were no, he was when the lady brought out the shotgun and they were no, I thought he was going to get angry.
I think for me, the worst part of it was the scene once he was inside and he was like, I understand, this is how I grew up, blah, blah, blah. If they had just done that scene, I would have been totally okay. But the pre-scene where they knock and then they leave the premises and they have this conversation, his wife and Soren. And there was no if I was the dad in this scenario and my kid was somewhere on this random planet, I'd be beside myself. But he was just like, trust me, I'll handle it. It was just so nonchalant. It was just what?
It's always this, he's going to be a badass murdering pirate, but they won't go there with it. He's not actually ever that. It's there really wasn't any. I would have shared everything, but there wasn't much to share. It's he's always actually really nice because they want to keep him a good guy. And so the menacing feeling he was giving is immediately just wiped away because he's then just I'm going to sweet talk you into it. And then at the end, he finally just is real about it and is no, I am a father. I am looking for my kid. I'm not trying to steal something, but I will fucking tear you in half if you try and keep me from him. In so many words, but to get there, it was just a little off. Yeah, it was an HBO show you would have just heard screaming in the hut, and then he comes out and he's like, "Okay, let's go get our kid."
Yeah, but you know what? I appreciate that they
And
didn't
then
do
it's
that
the wrong kid.
because you didn't
Yeah.
need that.
Whoops.
And like
I know.
to your point, John, I feel like the reason why he's as calm as he is because of his wife, right? Especially in a later scene, you see that once he realizes, spoiler alert, it's not their kid, it's another person with the helmet on. Once he realizes it's not their kid, immediately he switches to like being actually scared. Because before that point, he thought he was in control. He knew the kid was here. I just got to show that I'm like fully in command. My wife's obviously like, not strange. That's the wrong word. I'm like,
she said an F-bomb.
yeah, like
Bad.
in general, it's like being the calm, collected person, right? Even though internally you're not. That's the impression I got from that.
I've got it. So it's kind of like when there was a fire in our upstairs dryer, and everyone in the house was losing their shit, but I didn't. And I put it out. And I burned the shit out of my hand.
Oh my god!
Why do you
feels
gotta
alright.
go there?
That's crazy.
Huh? Oh,
And I'm up there like, should I call 911? You're like, yes.
Is it on fire? Yeah. Huh?
Oh man.
so the previous owners had left their dryer, but unfortunately, they'd also left a giant thing of cat hair in the front of it,
Oh my
like on the
God.
end you can't see, and that's what caught on fire. Thankfully, it wasn't the lint in the wall, so I just
Yeah,
was
they
like,
had
oh,
they had like 8 cats.
Yeah.
Oh,
I've got to
man.
get this
And the dryer
away
was
from the
full of
wall,
cat hair.
so
Oh my
this
God.
can't. So this can't go into the wall because then we won't be able to put it out. So not thinking, I just reached and grabbed it with my hand. It was very hot, and my hand immediately just completely burned, but it was worth it. Then I poured a lot of water, which came all down right here, but
Oof.
I didn't have a computer here yet.
Okay,
So-
good. Yeah, that sounds kind of crazy. But essentially, yes, essentially that. I personally thought he was putting up a bit of like a thing, and I thought his like initial talk with the family was how he handled the pirates back home. Is the impression I got, where it's like we
Mhm.
negotiate first, we make it seem like a bit like, hey, who wants this, and then show of force, you know. And to be fair, we don't know what he did with those guys. Maybe he did beat them up, but no. Afterwards, he's like, they agreed to let us meet him, which I think was the best option overall. Turns out, not their kid, and they took them. Continuing on this story's track, this scene was, I guess, not as strong in my opinion, which is when Laera goes and essentially threatens.
She's
or I
not
assume-
menacing.
Yeah,
That guy's the same size as her, and it's his building, and like he would have a shotgun and just be like,
Yeah.
"Get the fuck out of here, laddie puck."
yeah,
You know, he just-
exactly. But essentially,
That's the
she
actor's
goes and somehow takes information out from the shopkeeper, and it turns out that the person who took their kid was the UNSC. And that's the end of that
Mhm.
story for this episode, which, I mean, I immediately thought of, well, not immediately, actually, it took me some time, sadly, but like the reason the UNSC took him was pretty obvious once I realized, right?
What?
Yeah.
When they kidnap kids, it's always for a good cause. Don't worry about it.
Hey, to be fair, he's probably an orphan in their eyes, right?
Mm.
They're like, yeah, well, they left him, so free for the taking.
Thanks, Quan. Oh, you saved mom.
Do you think that they, I mean, I guess it really is a matter of conjecture, but you think they would have actively gone after him if it wasn't just kind of dropped in their lap? You think they were actually trying to find him? Or?
I think it's
I don't
probably
think they
like
know who he is.
it's probably like, you have any orphaned kids with below a certain age, bring them to us. Yeah, and like a standing
Well,
order in every UNSC
You
outpost.
could make
Mm.
the reasoned deduction that much like Halsey was curious about Soren procreating and whether the augmentations carried forward the evolutions that were made to him in any shape or form.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're interested in Kessler for that particular reason, because they knew about Soren, they were there to capture him, so they would presumably have had intel that he had a child and a wife and yada yada yada. So yeah, maybe, I don't know, but I guess we'll have that question
So
answered for us.
the impression I got,
episode.
especially with the first line from the shopkeeper that the young kids are in demand, was basically the UNSC are kidnapping
Conscripting.
children, conscripting them essentially. Like, we know the Spartan 3s, this is a bit of a spoiler alert for the next episode, I'm assuming. Spartan 3s are essentially mass-produced Spartans built off of orphans of the Human Covenant War. Right? Both
Yeah.
your parents are dead.
I mean, that you
hate
see the
Covenant.
giant contingent of them.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
the end of the episode. Yeah.
Which I will get to.
And if you watch the trailer for the next episode, you see who one of them is. A familiar face.
Interesting. Okay. But either way, that was my impression. That basically they're taking kids in general to conscript them into the Spartan 3 program, which is tying this plot thread once again with our main plot thread. At least that's what I thought.
Yeah, they've got their many irons in the fire, and when you see them early on, you're like, well, what the hell? What's the point of this? And then a lot of that keeps coming back, which I have really liked, and that comes back. And the first thing I thought of when we saw Parangosky talking to Cortana and then letting that Cortana be taken, I immediately was just like, oh, okay, yeah, they just planned. They wanted Cortana to be taken because she's super powerful, and having her be taken by the Covenant would get you a lot of information on the Covenant. And they're also, I think they're in the situation where they don't like or trust her because they do not like or trust Halsey. So it can be the type of thing where it's like, okay, we're going to hold this guy who you obviously care about over your head. You're going to go do this very specific thing for us. And then if you die, we don't care because that's
in show
we
canon,
don't like you.
She's the first and you can assume only smart AI that the humans have. Technically, show canon.
Yeah, she's the one built off of a human brain that was from a clone, which is very illegal because you're just killing a clone and taking their brain.
I guess while we're on it, the episode ends. We'll go back to Chief and Quan, obviously, but the episode ends with a shot of Kai on Onyx wearing her armor, and something I did not catch, but Didact Bra 3 in chat brought it up, is it looks like they announced Chief's death publicly.
Yeah, it says finish his fight on the posters.
Interesting. I did not catch that.
Yeah, he is a symbol. Like, so, and you'd be like, oh, we have his armor, but we'll pretend the man that was in there is dead, and we can repurpose this armor and give it to somebody else eventually, maybe, like that type of thing. But yeah, so for the most part, for Ackerson, it was political and PR. Yeah, he doesn't like you, he can't control you, and he's going to use you.
They still pretend he's alive, and the symbol is still going and whatnot. It was an interesting decision to basically make him a martyr.
Well, because his thing's ready now with the Spartan 3.
Yeah,
it's like, this is gonna,
right.
We're pulling you in to recruit. Do you want to, fight for the legacy of Master Chief? You can be a shitty version of him.
If you look at the shot of the Spartan 3 battalions, some of them, there's one on the far right of the shot, so far left for these flipped sepia shots, if you've got that shot, is very small, and I'm like, okay, are some of these, much younger? But this is where I was like, okay, this is one of the primary reasons I didn't hate this episode so much, in that I understand now a bit better, I think. Well, no, not more what they're doing.
Okay.
So they're pulling in all of these disparate threads from all of the Halo books and the ideas and some of the seeds and all these different pieces. So from my perspective now, and this is a spoiler cast, and I'm going to presume that a lot of people watching or listening would have read the books. Kai is, this universe's version of Kurt from Ghosts of Onyx, right? So, wasn't injured so much, but wanted to be of use still, right? So Kai wanted to serve still. Well, you can come and serve me in a different way. And, it's not a different journey to get there, but the same result. We now have a Spartan 2 in charge of the Spartan 3 program, or at least high up in the ranks of it, responsible for training. And it's bringing all of this a little bit forward, a little bit faster. And this is the third group that is effectively the other plot line. So we've got Covenant Makee, Jon and crew, and this, right? And we're obviously all going to converge at some point in a very, very different way. And it was at this point when I was watching, I was like, okay, like I have to, right? If I'm going to watch this show, I have to take everything I want to have happened or want to have seen and just jettison it. Now, I still feel that the biggest problems they have are character development and me caring enough about who's doing what. But at least now I can kind of understand the bigger vision and like, okay, fine. Yeah, it is what it is. So I would think anyone watching that is probably like me and a little bit like, this isn't what I wanted. Well, you're not getting what we wanted. So make peace with it.
That's the biggest difference I've seen. I've watched a few reactions already between them, and you'll have like Installation 00, which will take the episode on what it is and the show for what it is. Then you'll have someone like Hidden Xperia who just cannot get over that it's not what they wanted it to be, right? Essentially how you were the last episode. And because of that, it's just constantly, this isn't what it is, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, you don't have the power to change the show and meld it into what you want it to be, right? Like, you have the power to not watch 100%, and that's totally your prerogative. But if you're watching the damn thing, right? If you're gonna spend the time to watch it, then might as well take it for what it is, and not for what you want it to be. I kind of try and take that approach with most things. Most adaptations I watch, it doesn't always work, because some things I really like, I watch and I'm like, God, what's happening? Other things I don't care enough, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not everything can be the Attack on Titan anime, which was just...
Or anime in general, which usually adapts manga like 1-to-1, assuming it's not filler or blah, blah, blah. Like...
Yeah. I still think they've missed a trick, but this is what it is.
Yeah.
You know?
And so much of it comes down to people being like, I don't understand why they did this. And then you've got to be like, oh, yes, it's a TV show. You gotta judge it more. You can, in the moment, have feelings, but the actual judgment, you gotta wait until you see the whole season, because they're dangling things out. They're coming back. They're picking them up, and they're going, hey, this is what it was for.
Yeah, it's like if you wanna watch actual Halo so bad, just watch all the Halo cutscenes and don't watch the show.
Yeah, essentially.
There you go. Problem solved.
After that last shot, I put on for my siblings the Becoming a Spartan trailer from Halo Reach commercial, and it fit perfectly. Like, it didn't feel like it was out of place in another universe. It's like, hey, those guys there, yeah, this is someone becoming one of those guys. And like, they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. You could argue maybe the show doesn't do a good enough job of explaining those things, but I don't know.
Technically, one can argue anything.
Fair enough.
Technically.
Fair enough. Okay, let's move on, because we have still the big plot thread to
Let's
talk
move
about.
on by going backwards.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
We jumped again.
We did, but it's okay. It's okay. We finished things as they went through. Okay, so back to the chief, right? And essentially he has this conversation with Halsey, where he kind of yells at her. He's like, no, look, we don't choose. Like, we're machines. And she's like, you're not a machine. He's like, yeah, I am. Few people have lives. They have choices they can make. And what's interesting is during that shot, I have a picture of it, like with the scars all over him and like the injuries. He really didn't look that human. You know what I mean? I really like the framing of this particular shot. Is that showing up? Yeah, it is. But
Nick
like, I'm
worked
gonna.
out.
What's up?
Nick worked out.
Oh, 100%. Well, Nick always works out, and that's what he says, isn't he?
Yeah, with his chicken legs, though.
I'm not going to go into the conversations in detail, but I feel like the gist of it was that they're showing Halsey either come to terms with her own emotions a little more, and that's how they're showing her transition from like that unfeeling monster she was at the end of last season to what she is now, or there's just changing the character a bit and saying, hey, no, she does care about these Spartans. She is a little bit of a mother figure to them, you know, like holding Chief on her shoulder, walking to him, putting him to bed, essentially saying we instead of you, things like that.
I would say absolutely not. It has shown that she is scientific about it, and when they are special, she cares about them. And as we see later with Riz, the moment they decide to not be special anymore, she's just done. She is extremely analytical, and the only one that I think, the only two she's really emotional with outside of Jon are Jacob Keyes and her daughter.
Yeah, fair enough.
And even her daughter's mini her, essentially, so it's like very headbutting in season 1. But it's like, outside of Jon, who she cares about him because of how special she thinks he is. Like, and she's constantly going on about that. It's like, I didn't, you know.
But like, in contrast to
Riz
the
and the
first
rest,
season,
it's like, well, if you want to give up,
compared to the first season, she was willing to drop Jon like this, right? In fact, not just willing, she did. First season, Halsey's like, "Hey, Cortana, take over. It's not. I don't care."
That was bad writing.
Yeah, essentially, that's what I'm saying. I feel like they're trying to retcon that by showing that she's not that much of like an unfeeling piece of crap. She mostly is, but there's a speck of emotion in there, you know?
Yeah.
What an audio experience. But I literally got
It's
pinged the
hard.
moment you finish. Yeah,
He unmutes himself. I'm just waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard. It's like, it's a testament to the actress because we really can't tell what her angle is. We can't tell if she cares, if she doesn't care, if she's just messing with people. You know.
No, agreed.
She's a diverse one. That Natasha McElhone.
Chief and Quan interact a little bit, which I don't think they've interacted since episode like
He dropped her off
of the first.
Yeah.
The first season.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, it's Quan getting a little mad at Chief for like refusing to even look at Vanek, Because in Chief's eyes, he's like, nah, he's already gone. Like, that's just a body. Like, Vanek, the Spartan, is gone. They make it to Aleria.
If Chief was hungry, he'd probably just eat him. That's how detached Chief is.
I mean, he's been
just
sitting there for like
now.
3 days. Probably not fresh. But
I didn't understand, and again, this is probably the disconnect for me with the whole Vanek funeral. Quan, I get Quan's like, I didn't get to bury anyone, so I'm going to bury this person. And the conversation she has, right, and then Jon comes around and gives the speech and yada yada yada. Right, I'm summarizing the scene for brevity. So I understood
the whole yada yada yada.
The whole yada yada yada. But I understood, Quan's motivations. I understand that it's natural for Jon's human side to win out and come around and pay tribute to his friend and all of that jazz. Where it lost me is everything afterwards, and I'll let you set that one up. So,
wait, but so there's so much to talk about this first.
You can talk about that first. I don't know what else there is to say.
So it pretty much comes down to, Quan really wants to bury him. And she's like, you've got to be pretty much everyone that I was going to bury at home that I couldn't. Chief finally realizes like, I'm just trying to push my feelings down because I only took my pellet out 6 months ago, and I don't know how to handle this sense of loss very well. And he comes around on that. Halsey tries to give this big rousing.
That was actually pretty funny.
And he's like, no, fuck you. You gave his family a flash clone that died, and they think he's
first
been dead
time I think
since he was 6.
Got a last name for a Spartan, which immediately I caught. I'm like, the flip, we got his last name.
Yeah, and you could see him get angry because like, no, that's not who we're burying. We're burying Vanek 134 because that's what you turned him into when you kidnapped him from his family and gave his family a child who then died in a few days.
The family buried him. We're burying that was actually a really good line. I really liked in general that these lines.
Pablo Schreiber is doing everything he can, and he is a producer on the show along with Natasha McElhone. Like it feels like he is fully invested in all of this and wants to make this whole arc for Master Chief to become the Master Chief that we always saw, instead of it just being young, because obviously he's already in his 40s, so it's not like he can. I really don't think if they had just done like a bunch of flashbacks to show the team growing, like those just
it wouldn't have worked as well. No.
Most teen actors suck. But yeah, so they go through that. Chief does all that. He walks away. She gives him the line about, I didn't choose you, I found you. Yeah. And like, you're super special.
So I'm assuming he meant in terms of activating the stuff there, right? Like,
well, like, so for her, it's like she wasn't looking for him specifically. She just found him. Was like, holy shit, he's super special. You can see the goddamn freaking heads and tails on a coin when he flips it. Who can do that? He's not even a robot. But he's very much, I'm going to go kill Akers in Parangoski. Yeah. And she's like, if you do that, you're going to die. Then we'll lose Halo and all of humanity dies. And he's like, I don't care, Mom. And he just stomps off. But then the thing with Quan is I'm very much taking the dead old lady who got burned up in the first episode is the projection of the monitor we saw in season 1.
Interesting.
Talking to Quan, essentially. Because the monitors are there in that well... Yeah. Protecting the planet. Yeah. They're the protectors. That planet got destroyed. You weren't there protecting it, all these things. So like and obviously I have no idea. It's my guess, but like the planet's talking to her. It's like, it's probably like the monitor networks and using all that shit. And, they have these people that are supposed to do certain things. She's the protector family. What does that end up meaning? I don't know, but that's how I took that plot thread.
And so that she's also a protector for her planet. So I guess all the protectors are connected somehow. It's,
I mean, that's new. Magic. That's new, right? That's like, what is this? Who are these people? And why is it the same lady? And
that was the season 1 when we saw there was a monitor in a well on Madrigal. It was like, this is completely new. This isn't normal.
Not gonna lie. My first thought wasn't monitor. It was librarian. Was my first thought. And the gene song she's planted in every human in existence. And I personally thought this person here is a representation of that gene song, talking to her, saying, hey, this is your purpose.
I speak for all the planets. So that's just the way I took that, because they've been very like mystic in that way.
That's what I mean, though. I mean, like, I feel like a monitor wouldn't say I speak for all the planets, but a librarian certainly would. As in, like, I speak for all of life. Like, I seated all y'all, right? Like
He was always just really like, hey, I'm the librarian. I'm super cool. I'm just going to tell you who I am and float around and look weird with my Voldemort
I'm
nose.
reading Primordium right now, and like a big part of that book is people interacting with their gene song, with their past lives and who they were. So even her line where she's like, who are you? Right? My initial thought was like, oh, damn, does Quan have a gene song? Like a Gaius, sorry? Probably not. That's way too deep. I highly doubt the show's going to go there. Highly doubt.
And Didact, if it was anything I knew, anything inferred in the next episode, I would not mention it. I have barely touched on certain things because of that. Trust me.
And the next episode is called Onyx, so I mean, I doubt it's going to be much about Quan, you could say. Though I haven't seen the preview. This is probably like Makee and Arbiter. I kind of came to terms with in this episode. I'm like, I see where they're going. I'm still not 100% sure. Quan is the one most uncertain, especially because if it's about the monster, right? If it's about Halo, then the flip, you don't want them going anywhere near Halo. No, if it's about the flood, get them the hell away from that goddamn ring. Like the flood is on the ring. You don't want them going towards it. So why are you trying to like, in a way, lead them? You know what I mean? Like that part kind of was a disconnect for me. I'm not sure exactly what they're doing there.
It's definitely one of those we need to see just what is this end game going to be? Because right now it's a little nebulous.
Yeah.
Someone saying maybe it's Gravemind manipulating the monitor to have her send people to Halo to free the flood. That'd be interesting. That'd be very involved twist.
That's a bit too much too soon.
I do got to read that. I do got to read that.
I can't. So I gave it a 9, and I felt conservative with that 9 because I've also seen other people talking about it after reading it. Like, yeah, this. So for all this style of lore, because obviously the didact at one point he talked to Primordial. He was taken by Gravemind. Like a lot of that stuff. Just
I need to read
the more I think about this book. Really
I literally
goddamn
started
good.
Primordium like 2 days ago and prepped of rereading all of it to get ready for that again. Oh man,
I would say it's such a good book, but it definitely is I played Halo 4. Yeah. I read the Forerunner trilogy, or I at least know what happened in the Forerunner trilogy. And even just like I played 5 and I know some of the Cortana related plot threads of 5. I know Halo Infinite and how that started up and all that type of stuff. And it's just like, woo, I'm going to weave through this beautifully because I'm a great author.
It's for those people that wanted more closure on this character and these various threads.
Yeah, who wanted to see all the plot threads that were abandoned because of bad executive decisions on where the game should go. And it's like, but there was so much cool shit. Like Halo 4 had a really cool plot when you broke down everything and were able to muscle through the second book, which was very dry.
Oh, God.
First book, good. Forerunner trilogy, seriously, first book, good. Second book, get it on audio and read it 2.5 times, or at least 2.5 times speed. And then third book, fantastic. And
so
then you just
damn
go from
good.
there.
Holy crap, that third book is...
See, it's not somehow the didact returns. It is literally what happens to him in the friggin' comic book where he gets composed. Like, Chief kills him by getting him composed by a bunch of stuff. He is now composed
into the domain.
In the domain. That is just where it starts. Yeah. There's no retconning or anything.
Hence the cover of the book being more like a wandering warrior, less like a world-conquering demon. Yeah. Back to the shaman for a bit. So her exact lines were, "It's close now, the monster. Help me, find me, save me, deliver me. Do not deny your purpose. Protector." After a little bit of other lines. It's close now. Sorry, John, you're muted.
Wow.
Is Protector this version of Reclaimer?
No, that's Blessed
version?
One. That's Blessed One.
Oh.
Yeah.
Blessed One?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Blessed One is the version of Reclaimer. Yep.
Jon and Maki are the Reclaimers because they're the ones that are able to activate stuff.
In this universe, all humans can't activate foreign artifacts. It's only a celestial few.
Yeah. The two we know of so far.
Protector is just Quan Ha, right? Ha's are protectors. That's who she was referring to there. But what the hell does she mean by "it's close now, the monster"? That's the line that got me. I'm like, I don't know.
You think it's Gravemind?
That's a possibility. I mean, that's deep.
If the flood exists, there's a Gravemind, essentially, is how it normally goes. Yeah. Like, once they're powerful enough. So it depends on how, if the flood are in this universe, how do they exist? Or are they just these tiny little things, specimens stuck on a Halo? Is there just a shit ton of them on a Halo? Like, who knows?
I mean, we know who freed the flood in the first place, right? In the game. It's not the humans that go there. It's the Covenant, right?
Yeah.
So it could be that this is the close on the monster. It's referring to the Covenant getting closer and closer to finding a Halo ring, and then inadvertently freeing the Flood. Right? I feel like that's also a possibility.
That's what I thought it was, but I also don't know tons of Halo lore, so I don't think. I mean, I don't think in season 2 they're going to go right to the bottom of the barrel of lore. You know.
I mean, you never flip it. No, they
surface lore for right now.
But yeah, either way, that's Quan Ha's stuff. It's very much, let me see where the hell it goes, because right now I am so goddamn confused. Like,
just know she is strong enough to hold up a cannon and shoot it, and people.
Dude, forget that. The most unrealistic thing of the entire series so far, the entire season 1, season 2, is her dragging Vanek's 600-pound body all the way out there.
He had space rollers underneath him, so they were anti-gravity.
Okay, yeah, I could buy that. No, it looked like a pretty backwards planet.
No, I know. She's been working out for 6 months, man. She's got core strength.
And probably like 15
if
breaks.
you really want to do something, you can do it.
That's true. That's true. I should learn how to fly.
Dragging is easier than lifting. So
uphill though.
Yeah, it's not like she had to worry about hurting him. He's like, boom, bouncing on rocks, just cracking. Oh, I didn't know Vanek's skull cracked open when he was blown up in his chest. It's like, oh yeah, that happened. Yep.
But okay. Essentially, those are the main plot threads for the episode, barring one major plot thread left, which is Chief is obviously gearing up to continue his hunt for Oni, which he is very, very reasonably upset at, right? And he asks Riz to join him, but Riz says, "Nah, I'm good here." And sorry, before this moment, Halsey did mention to Riz that your damage is accumulated. You're not going to be the soldier you once were. So that kind of the breadcrumbs were there. That being said, I didn't see this coming, even though I kind of should have. I really thought she was gonna die in like a later episode. I'll be honest. Like, you know what I mean? I'm waiting for him to talk. He's muted.
I felt like I saw this coming.
Really, huh?
Yeah, like
she had shown. Like she had asked, "Is there something I can be besides a soldier?" And then the guy was like, "Yeah, of course. You can just."
And as soon as they killed Vanek, I was like, "Okay, we're killing side characters now." Because, and that, I guess that's in hindsight, once we'd seen the ending with Kai, who is this universe's Kurt, I was like, okay, we're killing off the side characters to get to a scenario where
Chief
Jon
is the
is
last
just
Spartan.
Chief.
Yeah,
you know,
with Cortana.
Yeah, I was like, they're getting rid of the team.
Yeah,
getting rid of Silver Team. They're moving somewhere else.
And it's
you know what
style
Kai's middle name is? Kai's middle name is Ert. Bet you didn't know that.
So K-Ert. 154. Yeah.
I'm kidding. It's a joke.
I'm not. I still don't get the joke. Am I just too young? I'm almost 30.
Kurt.
Oh, Kurt. Oh my god. Oh, actually, speaking of Kurt,
first initial K.
I feel like it actually might be more of a Jon for a lot of people. Sniper teaching Spartans. You know what I mean? Coming off of Reach, but either way, I expected Kai to die to leave the show, but I expected her to like have another emotional death, like how Vanek did. Especially because I swear I saw more Spartans in the later trailers. I'm really curious to see what the hell happens.
Yeah, we don't know what happened to. They even mentioned it. Do we know what happened to any of the other teams? Do we know what happened to Kai? And Halsey's like, I don't got no fucking.
Why was he even asking Halsey? She's been sitting in a prison, man. I guess he didn't know that.
He didn't know that. Yeah. He has no idea. Yeah. So for him, it's like, oh, here you are. What do you know? You used to know. You used to tell me how to poop, what to eat, who to kill. Like you told me everything.
And she wasn't telling nobody that she was in prison.
Mommy.
That's for sure.
Got mommy issues. Who doesn't?
I thought Chief and Riz had a pretty good conversation where Chief's like, like I need you. Like, and he was, I think, echoing a bit of the survivor's guilt that Perez felt earlier in the season is the initial impression I got for that. But then Kai kind of makes the best decision for herself, I thought, which is, nah, I'm gonna live my life, dude. Like, I'm gonna stay here. We're already dead, essentially.
There's pretty ladies waving at me. I'm cool.
She leaves her dog tags.
She's also very tall. She's 6 foot, so she was towering over everyone.
Yeah, straight up. So this is a scene. Actually,
I was gonna say, she has a lot of hair.
Yes,
those were
yes.
very tight cornrows.
Holy crap! Right. First
So
thing
I
I
was,
noticed.
that's what I was like too. I was like, oh my god, where'd all the hair come from?
Yeah.
My god, she must have been scalping herself.
Yeah, I looked at it before. They went down a bunch, and I never realized they weren't just on the scalp. They actually were so long that they were coming out. So yeah, she got a bushy hair.
She Halsey's like, that's it, like you're leaving, and Kai gives her like this smile, like yeah, like screw you, like I'm
Oh,
flipping
you're
out.
nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, you're nothing now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Halsey's
I
face.
don't know, like
Yeah.
zero impact for me though. Zero impact. I was like,
but you're dead inside. That's really
I'm not dead inside, man.
You're British. What do you mean? You are all dead. That's what I've always been told as an American.
I'm a very modern, 21st century sensitive guy.
I heard you use the word woke.
No, I've never. I've
You
honestly
said I
never
woke
used the
up.
word.
You said you
Don't
woke
bait
up one
me.
day.
I'm not falling for this, Jesse. All right,
Mm.
you just wind your neck in.
I'm not gonna lie, Jesse. I feel like this is one of the moments with Halsey where she felt genuine surprise, where she's like, one of like my machines I made could be like, I don't want to fight anymore. She's like, the flip, like what?
You could feel her finger in that pellet, and she was going to shove it back in there.
Yeah. Which goes back to the actress.
And
being just-
when she was like, "So you're a nobody now," to be like, "Bitch, fuck you! I'm someone. I see someone
She
here."
should have just whacked her with her cane, just like a pop.
Yeah.
You feel like nothing?
Yeah. But yeah, that is essentially the end of the episode. Where we at right now is Soren and Laera are still looking for their kid, who's been taken by the UNSC. Kai is on a planet called Onyx in front of hundreds, it looks like, of people that look like they're in Spartan armor. SPI, I think, but we don't know that till next episode. Chief is essentially with him and Halsey, because Riz is staying on Aleria. Vanek is obviously technically on Aleria. And I'm not sure whether he'll continue to be with Soren or Laera. I guess we'll see how it goes.
They were walking on the ship.
Yeah,
so-
so yeah.
If you see the next, they
Okay.
give it.
Okay,
They
yeah.
give it away in the trailer. Like it's Quan, Halsey, Chief, Soren, Laera, all on the ship
good.
going to because Halsey knows where she's like. Well, you can't find him. He's like, I'll find him no matter what, even though I probably never would without you, Deus Ex Machina lady. And it's like, yeah, no, I know exactly where they are. We're just gonna go right there for plot convenience.
Okay.
It's like,
good.
oh, thanks.
So now we have the actual Silver Team, just a bunch of old people.
Mhm.
Silver Team 2.0.
This reference to their hair, silver,
Or lack
silver
thereof.
foxes.
These wings, so silver.
And then we have, of
Mediterranean
course,
wings.
Maki and Thelvargatanai doing their own thing. Currently looking for, I'm assuming, the second artifact, which is
Yeah,
with
it's
X.
about for them. It's they've been told to find the artifacts, find Halo. That's
Yeah.
their mission.
Yeah.
So and now she's got Cortana in her little chip device, and Cortana's like, "Well, I don't want you to die because if you die, I die. They'll just do whatever with me. So
Yeah.
I'll help you out of this shit."
I am still a little.
Twinsies.
I guess we're
Mhm.
wait. There was something recently. Oh, I've been on a couple unexpected teams. Where was that from? That was something we just watched recently.
Oh,
I don't know. They're
Yeah,
like,
I
I've
don't
been on
remember.
a couple unexpected something Marvel. I don't know. Where
I was a
they're
little
like, well, I didn't want to do this, and they're like, well,
deal with
I-
it.
it was in the Marvels
Oh yeah.
where
Yeah.
Valkyrie
good
was like,
movie.
I've
Yeah, it
been
is.
on a
Pretty fun
couple
movie.
unexpected teams myself.
Usual terrible
'Cause
Marvel
they've
villain,
been all-
but the rest is really good. What was I gonna
a
say?
lot of cats on that one too.
Yes, I love. Oh, that was one of the best scenes ever. I am still a little surprised that Cortana was essentially. I still think something's up. I don't think you just leave a friggin' AI that alone, unprotected. Hey, go do, like, just go get taken. You know what I mean? In fact, in
The
my head,
scene
I'm
with Parangossi, I think, sets up the fact that there's more to it.
right, and in my head, I'm thinking
Yeah.
like, bro, she's getting this close to high flip and charity. It doesn't look like she's shackled at all. Like, let's see how this goes.
The Covenant don't know what she is. They have no
Exactly.
idea. As far as
Exactly,
they
right.
know, there's no AI in there. It's just this repository of human information
Yeah.
that Maki needs to try and figure out where the stuff is.
I think in Lower Covenant have like basic AI at this point. Nowhere near as advanced. Halo 1 terminals. Halo C terminals, really cool stuff. Anyways, okay. Can keep talking for days, but that's where the episode ends. That's where we're at. We're getting ready for the episode 6 7, 8, last 3 episode stretch of the season. Before we sign
I know
out,
the names of all of them. I'll say them right now.
Mhm.
Episode 6, Onyx. Episode 7. No, I'm kidding. I won't.
okay, all right.
I mean, they are literally out there if you want to get them, but I won't.
But okay, so before we
I
sign
actually
off for the
don't
day,
remember.
how do we all feel about where we're at right now in the season? The episode is whatever. Let's just see how we're feeling for the remaining 3 episodes. Let's say, John, let's start with you.
I think I think that they're going to still continue to speedrun us now, but I feel like we've done the speedrunning to this point. So my predictions are kind of like we're going to focus on what Kai's been up to, and maybe we'll get a little flashback to where Jon and Co are going. But there's got to be a mission ahead of us, from the promo shots we've seen where the Spartans are hurtling towards a Covenant vessel. So that's going to be to get Cortana back. So I imagine we're all going to get together at some point. There's going to be this is what we need to do. The Spartan 3s can't do this. We need the sealed Mjolnir suits. The team will be geared back up. They'll go get Cortana, and then we'll end up on the Halo ring.
And they're going to weekend at Bernie's Vanek in his suit and just have Cortana take control of the suit.
Yeah, like a robot. But yeah, I'm just turn the old brain off, enjoy the visuals. That's where I'm at right now, and that's fine. I'm sure there'll be some cool bits every now and then for me.
Especially John's bits, if they ever show them cheeks again.
Yeah. What? Anyways. Amanda, what are you thinking of the remaining 3 episodes? How are you feeling?
I think I'm feeling good. I think they got to go back. They're going to have to go back to get the kid. So they're going to end up back with the military anyway, UNSC. And then I don't know. Got to think about what's going to happen with that. If there's going to be something going on with the kid too, Kessler,
yeah.
There's going to have to be something going on with him.
Yeah.
Well, pretty much my guess would be with the way that that whole program is, and they have been, is they're looking to take orphans to raise them into being Spartans, essentially.
That's what I'm thinking too, but who knows? Jesse, what are you thinking of the last 2 episodes, you punk?
I can't say it. For this episode and this episode alone, all I can say is for where I think the story was going from here, because I do make sure to write my thoughts down for the review.
Smart.
Before going anything else. I was pretty much in things are coming together. There's essentially going to just be this one main plot that finishes around Onyx. It feels like that is the continuation of Reach, where eventually everything ends up coming together here instead of just at Reach being the big thing. Chief and all them going there because they've got their own motivations for everyone to go there. I figured Halsey probably has some shit that she wants. I was wondering if, because her daughter is listed as being in this season, is this where Miranda's been working? And if we see her at some point, was also exactly. So I figure we're going to get plot threads of the only one I don't know, because I know Halsey will go do something. Parents looking for kid, Jon looking to kill. But who does Quan end up with? What's the most natural fit? So I figured he was either going to go with the parents or Halsey, and probably not Chief, because Chief is just going to be murking people nonstop, or crippling them severely, but probably not actually killing anyone.
I was going to say, my thoughts are I'm looking forward to the remaining 3 episodes. And the reason why I was a little distracted is I looked up the end of Fall Reach a little bit, specifically something called Operation Red Flag, which is what they initially wanted to do, which was they wanted to go into a Covenant ship, take the navigational database, find the location of High Charity, go kidnap a prophet, use that to end the war. And I kind of feel like we're already seeing glimpses of that with Cortana being in a ship right next to High Charity. You know what I mean?
I definitely was like, okay, they got Cortana onto a Covenant ship to get information and shit from the Covenant through her. And with no worry about getting her back because they don't like or trust her. So she's going to have to work with Maki to get back.
No, I wouldn't.
Also, when you said Operation Red Flag, I thought you were going to talk. It was like they're playing Capture the Flag on midship.
No. It wouldn't surprise me if Ackerson and Chief work together again, because it's like, hey, this operation is to recover Cortana. She has the data we need now to end the war. Go get her. You know what I mean? In fact,
or if Ackerson and Halsey end up being
Yeah.
forced to work together.
Yeah.
Because they're not just going to let her go. I mean, even though they stuck her in a simulated prison for a while, they're not just going to
They
let
kept
her go.
killing kids in front of her. I'm still kind of a little confused about that, but hey, all right, let's go for it. Sci-fi morals.
I think they assume everyone's dead is what I took from it. Like she even said, we need to be ghosts, and I was like, I don't think Chief doesn't seem too stealthy in this show.
Ghost
but
of Reach.
Do we see Chief pick Parangasi up over his head? Does he tear her in half, or does he throw her off a balcony like 5,000 feet off a mountain? What do we think?
I'm not sure, but in the books, doesn't Paranovsky sacrifice herself at some point? She's the admiral piloting the cradle, and they use it to soak up damage when the Covenant and UNSC fleets are facing off. So it's like a massive disc, and it soaks up all the plasma so that they can get extra Mac salvos off. I'm sure that happened. But maybe it wasn't Arab.
She retired.
I just saw. Yeah, I looked up. I was looking up Parangosky, and I saw a picture of Kwanha's haircut from season 1. I was like, oh my god, what were they thinking? Super mullet.
She doesn't die in series. I don't think. I think she's still alive technically.
I remember her being in like a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but I don't think he kills her. I think it's more like who knows? Who knows? We'll see how it goes.
If he tears her in half, does he drink? Like, is that,
I think if he does tear in half, he has a helmet on, so it's just gonna drip in his face. But okay, all right. We've kept you guys long enough. John, I know it's late there. You gotta go to sleep.
That's his job, man. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm here for, baby.
Thank you, everyone, for watching us. Keep an eye out. In exactly a week, we'll be back right again with episode 6, Onyx. Definitely take a look at Jesse's review of Halo Epitaph, both the written one and the video review. It looks, by all accounts, and I literally mean by all accounts, because he is not alone in his high praise of that book. Everyone is talking about how good this damn book is.
Even the president of the United States was like, "What's a book?" Because he's very old.
He fell asleep.
Sounds would have worked too. Take a look at that book. Keep an eye out, obviously, for the main podcast tomorrow, which looks to be Nick free. Good luck, guys.
Yeah. If you're in for a short, concise, and regular conversation,
I've got a rumor mill.
Oh,
it's gonna rock the world.
Interesting. Okay. And if you guys have not been keeping up with the news throughout the week, take a look at our new show, Headliners, twice a week, just going through headlines.
No R.
Headlines. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm watching a lot of One Piece and the headliners right now. Anyways, headlines talking about the latest news throughout the week. And holy crap, there's a lot of news every goddamn day. What is going on?
Every Tuesday and Thursday. So we pretty much have like 3
Man,
news
there's
shows
like
now.
always news.
No, but like
Wow.
news specifically in gaming. Why is it so? Even my non-gaming friends like, dude, there's a new layoff every day. What is going on? Is everything good? Are you good?
It's just, it gets way more coverage because it's so social media focused than like big companies. Because you go look at other companies and they're like, oh yeah, they're all firing people too, but they don't announce it on Twitter because they're like, parasocial relationing with their fan base.
Fully agreed. All right. Thank you again, everyone, for watching. You guys have a good Friday night, and we'll see you next week.
Ciao for now.
Bye.